Hey, this is Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Let's do this.
The Digest as we continue all the way to episode 515 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. What's happening to our sweet little murder building? Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We're back again after another unintended hiatus. Oh my goodness. Life, people, life. It's a thing. But you know what? We keep on trucking. Just because we fall off the consistency wagon every now and then doesn't mean we can't hop back on. Otherwise, we wouldn't have lasted as long as we had. Oh my. We are back, and as we kind of, for any of the Gold Standard Patreon supporters may have heard the little tease I gave. We are not alone, Holly and I, so making his grand return to the Fiveish Fangirls is our good friend DJ Nik. Yay!
Yay!
Hey guys, it's wonderful to be here. Looking forward to today's topic, and I know there'll be a lot to talk about. And I'm so happy to be able to discuss this with two of my favorite people and two of my fellow Inter fans. So life could not be better.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's true crime and podcasting. I mean, what more do you really need to ask for? So, but before we get into that, we need to do the news, and I feel like I'm missing news, but also at the same time, I'm like, I think it's also been kind of quiet. So we really don't have a whole lot in the way of news, actually, other than for all the PopCon fans out there. But they have started their holiday sale. So this is the Monday before Thanksgiving. So they're having a Cyber Monday, air quote, sale through the end, presumably midnight, December 1st. They are offering 50% off all PopCon merch on the website. So, and they have a lot of fandom inspired gear, especially shirts. So it's not all just like, oh, shirts with the PopCon logo on them. They'll do shirts every year, so sometimes related to some of the guests and the IPs that they're connected to, and that sort of thing. So, if you've had your eye on any of those, you might want to snap those up while your size is still available. And then through Christmas Day, if you use the code GIVEBACK, all one word, you're gonna get 35% off your 3-day weekend admission. And of course, that is also supporting Gleaner's Food Bank.
Nice.
So, win-win. Because, starting this later this week, people are going to start spending a lot of money. A lot of money is going to start getting spent. Yeah. Post Thanksgiving is just going to go. So you save your dollars where you can. So there is that. And then really, the feeds. Of course, speaking of Gold Standard, in the main feed, Nick had to, he didn't have to man the fort completely alone. He did have our good friend Frank Mendoza. I missed out getting to go Mendoza 5 million times.
Charles
Well,
Skaggs
talking-
did so in the comments as well. I guess it's catchy.
yes, Mendoza. It's a Pavlovian response at this point. And he and Nick talk about the 1980 historical fiction ish retelling, kind of. It's not really retelling because it's like speculative historical fiction. What could have happened to the Rosenberg's kids after they were executed for treason by the United States post World War II?
Happy
Oh.
film.
Oh yeah, it's especially the execution scenes. They did not hold back on either of those. And I don't know if I haven't actually had a chance to listen to the episode yet, but the Ethel, the stand-in for Ethel Rosenberg, that actually did happen. They did have to zap her twice.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about the Rosenbergs ages ago when doing our Billy Joel history lesson.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got to get back to that one of these fine
one of these days. Yep. So, but that is in the gold standard feed, and then, as I mentioned, we recorded this month's Patreon episode yesterday as we're recording this, and we talked about Hairspray, not the John Waters movie, but the 2007 adaptation of the stage musical with Christopher Walken and Zac Efron and Amanda Bynes. Oh, and I had
great,
quite the fun time.
If I may cut in here, Rachel, what I really appreciate was this was my only frame of reference, as I'd mentioned. I hadn't seen either the John Waters or the stage musical. And what was wonderful is having you frame the conversation because you'd seen the stage musical multiple times, and Zan mentioning going back and forth comparing the movie. So I think it made for a really well-rounded thing, and it definitely educated me. And as I said, I promise I will watch the movie.
Yeah.
The original.
It's like I said, I've seen the John Waters movie once and I didn't care for it. So I've never watched it again. But it's a movie that Zan really loves. So she's got a better grasp on what actually occurs in it. Because, like I said, I've only seen it the one time. And then I was like, okay. Whatever. Moving on. So, but yeah, it made for quite the interesting discussion. But and of course, I'm always a sucker for a good musical. So, especially as I mentioned, this is definitely one of my favorites. Otherwise, I would not have it tattooed on my leg, on my person. So,
you can't stop the beat.
Nope. And then I do want to tease this, but it's not in the feeds yet. I think it'll go in the feed maybe next week, I think. But our friends, at least Chauncey and I's friends, Matt Kroger and Colin Orr, who were Colin was from the Spark of Madness podcast a long time ago. I think Matt made a few appearances if he was on it fairly regularly, I think. But Matt has developed his own tabletop role-playing game. And they are doing one shots, and that Matt is writing, and that he's come up with the premise and how to do the character building and everything, and they are doing a podcast to go along with it. So Chauncey and I made our debut on the One Shot to Survive TTRPG podcast, and our one shot was called The Hunt for Red December.
Nice.
And the idea is you bring in your character with, backstory and everything. You do get to choose some like abilities ish. And then at a certain point, Matt will bestow on you your other like things that you like have plus for your rolls and stuff. It's really simple because you only use a d20. Which is funny. This is the first time I've actually played like a D&D type game with actual dice, even if it was only a singular one. All the time we played online, I used virtual dice. I was like, yay, I finally get to use one of my die that are sitting here collecting dust. But the premise is you have your characters, and Matt has a situation, finds a situation where a reason all your characters would meet and then get pulled into this alternate reality where they have to complete a quest. In our case, it's Christmas time, like, and I don't want to spoil everything or much, but let's just say it involves Santa Claus, a badass Santa Claus that's very reminiscent of Nick Fury, submarines, and Jeff Bezos.
Wow.
And I'm just gonna leave it at that. So
Quite the concept.
yes, and maybe some cameos from some other classic Christmas characters as well.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. But once that drops, I will make sure to post the episode. But it was fun to get back. It was fun to get back into it. Of course, I've got some experience. Chauncey has slightly less experience. And then our friend Ben came in as well. We've had Ben on. Ben was on our episode about Les Mis. And this was his first time ever playing any kind of role-playing game.
Oh,
And
nice.
he's got the role-playing game part, the role-playing part down. It's the gaming part that he's got to work.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a little distracted with the storytelling and forgets to actually play.
Like, oh, wait a minute, I need to roll that dice to do that? Oops.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Oh yeah, I got the story, but I gotta kind of keep moving it along. Otherwise, we'll never fulfill our complete our quest. So. But he did it. It wasn't bad. Not it wasn't bad for a newbie. He's just little distracted by shiny things like character development. So oh my. So there is that. I believe they're on Facebook. If you want to go follow them on Facebook, that way when stuff gets posted, maybe you'll I'm not sure exactly what platforms you'll be able to get it on, but like I said, I'll post that when it goes live. So I miss playing D&D.
Me too.
All right, well, that's really it for the news. So let's move on to feedback because we got quite a bit from Shalane.
Yay!
So Shalane says, we survived Halloween and finished some Halloween candy. I finished most of my Halloween candy. Actually went to work and I gave it to the students. I put it out for the students to consume, but it's still taking them a hot minute to eat it all. She has a question first. Going back to Disneyland, does my episode about my trip cover the 70th? Be considered our coverage of the 70th anniversary? I would say yes. So. We didn't really get a whole lot into the 70th anniversary stuff, mostly because by the time we got there, their focus was Halloween, and a lot of 70th stuff actually took a back seat once the holiday season kicks in. So, so yeah. Now I'll get my video posted eventually. I promise. I took lots of video at Disneyland. I will post it. I just have time. I have. There's so much of it. It takes a bit more to edit that than it does a podcast episode. She says now on to only murders in the building because this feedback will reach you by the time you talk about season 5. Ha ha! She is very smart. I did not tell her.
Yes.
I did enjoy the season. I'm excited for the next one. I've always been a fan of mystery fiction along with adventure and action, which go with fantasy and sci-fi. When I was in elementary school, I read the A to Z mysteries books and loved them. I played Carmen Sandiego video games or watched the shows along with Scooby-Doo. Read some Daisy Drew books when I was younger too. Sometimes I would watch CSI and CIS and Numbers with my mom because she loves those shows. Then in my late teens, early 20s, I watched Once Upon a Time, which was pretty much a mystery show mixed with adventure and action, and Pretty Little Liars. I also think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was kind of a mystery show, along with the MCU. I enjoyed the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies, and I love the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock series. I still need to read the Sherlock Holmes books, and yes, Stranger Things is a mystery show as well. Also, when I was a kid, I loved watching The Great Mass Detective. I mean, that's Sherlock Holmes in mouse form. So
Yep.
So yeah, I do love a good mystery. That's why I love the Knives Out movie so much, because my neurospicy brain, whenever I'm given like a mystery, I immediately I can't help it. My brain wants to start solving it as we start getting like clues and introduced to characters and stuff. And I've yet to be able to figure out the final answer to steal from a game show with both of the Knives Out movies. So when we get Wake Up Dead Man here this holiday season before the end of the year, I'm looking forward to them getting to the end and me going, what? I wouldn't have thought of that in a million years, because there are other times where I figure it out and then I find out whether I was right or not, and sometimes this is a disappointment. So, uh, but yeah, I do love a good mystery too. I look forward to with Stranger Things to see how everything gets all connected. Actually, if you want if you like murder mysteries, but you don't want anything like too intellectual or like Sherlock Holmes, or maybe Perot or things like that. Maybe if you want something that's maybe a bit more like Murder She Wrote light. I've actually started this. I'm doing the audiobooks because I don't have time to actually sit down with the actual physical book, but they're really short. Like they're the books so far have been less than 20 chapters. But it's this series. The author's name is Mildred Abbott, and of course it's going to be really obvious why I'm listening to these, because it's the Cozy Corgi mystery series.
Ah, but of course.
Yeah. So it's set in Colorado. Right there in the same town where the hotel that inspired The Shining is, Estes Park. And it's this woman named Winifred, but everybody calls her Fred. She has moved there to be close to family after after getting a divorce and having a business partnership break up, and she wants a fresh start, and she moves to Estes Park to open a bookshop, and she has a corgi named Watson, and the person who writes these has to have a corgi or has had a corgi or just knows corgis really well, because they are spot on with the description as far as personality is concerned. like like I can easily picture Watson in my head with some of the stuff that he does. So like that is so correct for that breed. It is not even funny. So, but of course she moves in, and like her second day there's a dead body, and her dad who's passed away, was a cop. And then the ex-husband that she's divorced from was a cop. So she knows a thing or two about police work and that sort of thing. So, and of course, much like Jessica Fletcher, she gets caught up in, you know, the trying to the who done it of these various murders. In each book there's a murder. And of course it's a small town, so it's got really interesting characters that you kind of would expect in a small town where everybody just knows everybody's business. And she butts heads with some of the other business owners. She butts head with some of the police force. At the same time, she's trying to start a business and all this stuff. So, but I just started book number 5, I think. I believe that's number 5, I think. So, no, I just started number 4. So I finished number 3 earlier and then I've started number 4. But like I said, they're really short, even in the audio version, especially if you do audiobooks at a faster than 1 speed, which I do. I usually tend to listen to stuff at 1.25 or 1.5, depending on what it is. So,
yeah.
And like I said, they're less than 20 chapters, at least so far. So they're really easy reads. And there's a corgi. So, duh. So if you like mysteries, but you want something that's not going to make your brain hurt too much trying to figure out, like, oh, what was that a clue? Wait, who did we talk about? What, who? You don't have to think about it too much. Just listen to it. And if you figure it out, great. If you don't, whatever. So I'll put a link in the show notes. So anyway, back to Shalane's feedback. Sorry, tangent. It just worked out well. We're talking about mysteries. I started a mystery series. She says, so yeah, I love anything that is adventure, action, fantasy, sci-fi, and mysteries. And of course, action, adventure, and mystery fiction all go together. They do well. Going back to favorite movies from each studio, other Universal movies, I forgot to mention that I love are Jaws and E.T. I think Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, Christopher Nolan, Charles Lucas, and Peter Jackson are the king of blockbuster film. Speaking of James Cameron, it's funny that both Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Blue Avatar share the same title. And there are also 2 movies called The Avengers, the Marvel one, and the 1998 spy movie with Uma Thurman and Ray Fiennes and Sean Connery, based on the 1960s TV show.
Yep.
Also, Disney's Hercules and Kevin Sorbo's Hercules get mixed up sometimes too. I'm saying this because Nick was going to talk about Uma Thurman and Ray Fiennes' Avengers on his other podcast.
That we did.
Yeah, actually, my mom at one point owned a Mini Cooper, and the car was nicknamed Emma after Emma Peel.
Nice.
So, but not Uma Thurman's Emma Peel.
No, Diana Rigg all day, any day.
Diana Rigg, may she rest in peace. Yep. I also got an early Christmas present because the Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer dropped. Oh yes, I did forget about that. I'm still being patient for when you girls talk about the Devil Wears Prada. Fun fact, next year is a big anniversary for the movie, and we get a sequel just in time. Yeah, it's probably when we're going to talk about it. Also read that the trailer got millions of views along the Toy Story 5 trailer, the biggest number since Force Awakens Infinity War trailers. Now onto the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Brie Larson, aka Captain Marvel, is playing Princess Rosalina. How funny that we now have Star-Lord and Captain Marvel in a Mario movie. What's next, Loki? So waiting for Yoshi to show up in the trailer. They promised us Yoshi. Going back to The Devil Wears Prada, another fun fact, both Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway have worked with Chris Pine. He and Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt, who is also in The Devil Wears Prada, were in Into the Woods, and Chris Pine appears in The Princess Diaries too. Yeah. I'm going to go back to my favorite movies from each studio here. My picks for 20th Century Fox and Netflix. And of course, Shalane does what she does best, giving us nice long lists. Lot of overlap with some of our favorites, though. So that's why she's related to Chrissy, but that's also why she's our friend. Uh, not just because she's Chrissy's sister, but because she has very good taste, because she likes the stuff that we like. So the ones I never revisited are Magic School Bus Rides Again, Trolls the series, and a series of fortunate events. Also, there's a Netflix themed restaurant in Vegas, and 2 of my friends from college work there. I would love to go someday. Ooh, how did I miss that? And she lists some stuff that she's more of a casual fan of, which there's nothing wrong with that. You can be casual fan of some things. Not everything has to be like, oh my god, I must know everything and be involved in everything. Um, I must get them tattooed permanently on my body type thing. Down to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was right. You girls were going to talk about it for Halloween. Well, 2 weeks after Halloween. Yeah. Rachel said she loves Rocky Horror. I wonder if you'll talk about it on Gold Standard. Not if saying has anything to do with it. I watched the edited version and listened to the soundtrack to prepare for whichever podcast covers it. The Fiveish Fangirls, Gold Standard, Drunk Cinema, or Recovering Glee, hosted by my 2 friends from college. They even did a Glee episode about Rocky Horror. Yes, the Rocky Horror Glee show. I'm also curious who among you are fans of Rocky Horror. I think Rachel has good taste in pop culture movies. Same with you girls. Oh, thank you. Speaking of college, my old college is doing Rocky Horror next spring. I'm planning to see it once I get my own Rocky Horror Funko Pop because that's my new tradition. I understand why people love this movie and why they cosplay the characters. It's one of the big cosplay groups along with Labyrinth. If I remember correctly, Tim Curry came to Fan X years ago. And people posted pictures of Rocky Horror cosplay. Another friend of mine got from college performed Time Warp for Halloween concert. I'm thinking about getting him and some friends to do Rocky Horror for Halloween one of these days. That'd be cool. So this is your 6th Tim Curry movie to talk about. Yep. I always thought his favorite roles were Frankenfurter or Pennywise the Clown. Those are his most iconic roles. I don't think he'll talk about Ferngully, even though he had a great villain song, or It. I think a good Tim Curry movie or show to talk about would be The Wild Thornberrys. I imagine things like It and Ferngully will get at least mentioned whenever his name gets pulled out of the virtual hat. The fact that we've talked about so many Tim Curry things, yet his name has not gotten pulled. It's only a matter of time. I knew you girls were going to talk about Rocky Horror for Halloween because it has a big anniversary this year, and I didn't have it on my list of Halloween movies I sent last time. Plus, you said you had already had a Halloween movie planned. I was thinking it was either Rocky Horror or Death Becomes Her. I finally watched that movie, not the musical yet. One more, another friend of mine from college who does a podcast about Glee and Buffy recently did a stage production of Rocky Horror. That's cool. Thank you, Shalane. As always. All right. Moving on. As Shalane correctly guessed, and the reason that Nick is here is because we need to talk about the latest episode of Only Murders in the Building. Because we are now five seasons in with no signs of stopping once again. They left us with a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. And a shocking one at that.
Quite the shocking one.
I did not see it coming.
I did not either.
I'm just like, wait a minute. No, you gotta be kidding me. Oh wow, okay. They went there.
Yeah. Like they did. The way they edited that certainly had me thinking one thing. And then it went a different direction. I'm like, okay.
I almost think the cliffhanger was more interesting than this season's core mystery. That's my hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I think this season
it was enjoyable.
Yes, it was definitely enjoyable. It definitely, I think, by it being Lester, somebody who had been essentially a staple of the Arconia for so long, that it gave us the opportunity to dive more into the history of the Arconia and its residents. Because, like, every now and then we'll get a little peek behind, the walls. We learned about the secret passages and um, you know, various things, but this gave us a lot of opportunity for a lot of flashback. So,
It was more
which
about creating backstory than giving us an interesting mystery, to be honest. That's the way I felt.
yeah, because I mean, for Lester to be our murder victim, I mean, he wasn't our only murder victim, but between him and Nikki, Lester's the one we care more about. You know,
Oh,
Right.
of course.
we don't necessarily care about the mobster.
No.
No. And we needed to know the reason why he got set up to be taken out, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and it also is kind of a not necessarily a love letter, but a nice nod to the history of New York and the mob.
Right.
About that, yeah, that part of the country being such a major part of the history of the mob in the United States.
A good fellas, but not quite a good fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And of
huge
course,
remarks The Godfather as well, and all sorts of mob movies in there.
yeah.
And also, I think the passage of power, or the part of the passing the torch of power from mobsters to billionaires. As in now
Yes.
the new mob are the billionaires.
Right. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still all about capitalism. It's just that, yeah, it's a different label,
It's
but
just
it's still
changed
the same
hands.
idea.
They just manage it differently.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, to paraphrase Pete Townsend, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yes. Very much. Very much. So, but of course, you know, with each new season we get some returning faces. I mean, obviously we have our core three. But then we also get a few returning faces that pop in and out of the season. We see Nathan Lane pop up. We have not seen him since season 2.
Right. That was nice to see him again.
Yeah, he makes a nice Lion King reference, which is funny. It's funny because this is on Hulu. It's a Disney product, and also Nathan Lane is in the OG Lion King cartoon. So, but we get Keegan Michael Key, who is hilarious. And then we get some big big stars in the form of Christoph Waltz, who is just, you know, a fantastic actor. And again, they make a Bond villain reference. He's been a Bond villain. And then we have, you know, he's an Academy Award winner, I believe. Yes, yeah, and we got Academy Award winner Renee Zellweger.
Yes.
Kind of a Martha Stewart-ish kind of, you know, billionaire. Christoph Waltz's character is kind of a bit of a Elon Musk, Steve Jobs kind of billionaire, the tech, but he's older. And then the young kid, played by Logan Lerman, he's kind of like he's a Nepo baby.
Yep, that's a good way to put it. Yep.
Yeah,
who's a Nepo baby. Yep.
Yeah, who's trying to make it look like he's using his big ass amounts of money in his bank account for good, but at the end of the day, he really just wants to make more money. So he's a Nepo baby, but he's also supposed to be like the young, cool, hip, more, you know, more with it, more woke, if you want to use that term, kind of billionaire. Trying to be a, you know, ethical billionaire, which there's no such thing. That's an oxymoron. If I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
And then we've got Jermaine Fowler, who comes in as the new to replace Lester. And then we've got some we got Bobby Cannavale, who he plays our dead mobster. So and he is married to I can't think of her character's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sophia, of course. Well, she's an Italian married to a mobster. Of course, her name is Sophia, played by Tia Leone. And then we've got we got Meryl Streep does come back for a little bit as Loretta. So and then we have Nikki and Sophia's own kind of mini mob of sons.
The Jersey Shore boys.
The Jersey Shore boys who just really love their mama and would do anything to protect her, but at the same time, they're not necessarily going to whack you or even break a kneecap. You know, they just as soon feed you than whack you.
Right. And you're nowhere near Jersey, so you don't have to worry about that network in their little
no, they just look
mafia.
It looks like they took a wrong turn trying to get back to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
They were headed for Atlantic City and took a wrong turn somewhere, but they're still dressed for the occasion. And they got distracted by the cannoli because Lord knows they dress like they belong on the Jersey Shore. If I see one more slightly opened, flowy collared shirt in an obnoxious pattern with the chest hair poking out, I may throw up. And the chains and the tracksuits. Like, really?
It's like, if you're trying to blend in, you're not doing a good job.
Yeah. Inconspicuous. They don't know it.
To paraphrase Marissa Tomei, yeah, you blend.
Yeah. So yeah. And of course we got our other usual residents of the Arconia, both the OG building and the other tower that Mabel had moved into, including Richard Kind as Vince, with his perpetual pink eye.
Wash your hands, dude.
Yeah.
Use the drops till they're gone.
Yeah, a little bit. So, but this is a really personal murder for these guys to figure out. Not that the others weren't. Obviously, our very first murder was Mabel's friend. Bunny, not so much. Paul Rudd, obviously Jane Lynch's character, that was personal, at least for Charles, but this is somebody that they all knew and saw and talked to on a regular basis. And in the process of them trying to figure out who killed Lester, they have hanging over their heads kind of this sword of Damocles, because they're sure that these billionaires are involved, especially once they discover the illegal gambling casino in the basement of the Arconia, because of course the Arconia has a full size casino floor underneath. Because the footprint of this building is just so big. The water table in Manhattan must be just so low. But if they can figure out how to prove that the billionaires were involved, then they can stop the building getting bought out, because that's the thing that's kind of hanging over them. Is in the process they find out that the building is being bought in pieces. Somebody's buying the apartments, and then once they get 51%, they'll have a majority ownership, and they can just kind of, evict everybody else and do whatever the hell they want with it. But there's infidelity, there's bribery, of course, there's murder, there's robots, there's dry cleaning, there's Steve Martin making out with Tia Leone in a minivan, after expertly catching shrimp and other delicacies at Benihana, or their equivalent of Benihana. um so but yeah, but we do get some fun flashbacks. We get to see Lester when he first got the job as the doorman at the Arconia, and how he, after a while, once he's shown that he can be trusted, he gets brought into the side hustle that the doormen of the Arconia get to be part of, which is allowing people to come access the casino, and they get a little cashy cash on the side to keep quiet and let people in that don't necessarily belong there, that sort of thing. There's a finger that gets passed around a lot. First it ends up in Loretta and Oliver's wedding shrimp. Then it ends up in a Stanley and Charles's fridge. Yeah. Gross. There's a whole thing with birds, because that was Lester's thing, is he liked to equate the residents of the Arconia with birds, and he liked bird watching though too, and he and Vince were fellow bird watchers. What is that called? Ornithology? Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So. And so much to the point that they had like a camera set up out in the courtyard of the Arconia, kind of like a trail cam. It was activated by birdsong. That becomes very important in figuring out who done it. But I mean, what you guys think of this season? Like, did you enjoy? I enjoyed the flashback stuff. Like, I enjoyed seeing earlier days of the Arconia, some of the residents who live there, ages before our group got there. But we also see early days of like when Oliver first moved in. But also we get a lot of, because of our first we got so much Mabel stuff in the first and second season, especially because Mabel looked like she was the guilty party, especially in the second season. Then we got a lot of Charles' backstory, when it looked like he was supposed to be the intended victim, as opposed to his beloved stunt double. But this time around we get some Oliver backstory, about his times growing up in Flatbush, among other things. We get to see a little Ollie Putnam, aspiring theater star, even though his foster parents did not agree. I enjoy it. I mean, I was kind of, I'm glad that the show has gone on this long, that we finally gotten an opportunity to dive into a little bit of the personal history of all three. So if it had ended before that, we may not have gotten this Oliver backstory. So I do appreciate that, and how it gives us a bit more insight into why he acts the way he does. What do you guys think about that therapy session?
That was hilarious. That was hilarious. That was one of the better parts of this season, if you ask me.
And it was nice to see Jane Lynch back too.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was for the briefest moment. Like, Yay! And just the passing over of roles for him. It was just like, oh, buddy.
But and that's exactly a great point that you make, Holly, because I think with this season overall, when it was on point, it was on point. But there were moments where I think the show kind of dragged in places, and there were kind of things that had been such a core part of the show kind of get left by the wayside. Like the podcast is barely in this season. It's barely mentioned. It's barely talked about, and that is the reason why these three are a group. And that is barely talked about. It pretty much comes full circle, I guess, by the end when we get our cliffhanger. Other than that,
Right.
it's not even a part of this. And
Well,
what really go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, and I'll.
What
Go ahead,
really
Fish.
annoyed me the most is why every season do we need to find a love interest for Mabel?
True. Yeah.
Jade
Yeah.
made no sense as a love interest or potential love
No.
interest. I'm so glad they didn't go through with it. But it seemed like every season we have to play matchmaker for Mabel. That just annoyed me.
Yeah. And Nick, to your point about the podcast thing, I think maybe why they kind of stopped with that through line is when they went to that place to sign that contract, they knew that they had to be careful where they couldn't say X, Y, and Z because of who purchased it. So I'm thinking maybe that's why we didn't see that much, because they knew, hey, if we do any of this or try to talk in code, our work is going to get busted, and we're not going to be able to find out and get who killed Lester and get justice for him. Maybe that's why that plot went to the wayside.
It did put them a bit it put them in a bit of a corner by doing that, but even before, it took a little bit for them to even start doing any podcast recording before.
That's exactly it. Where every other season,
they drop like the teaser, and then that was it. And then they got the contract with the giant big network. It's equivalent of signing to like iHeartRadio or Spotify or something. Because of the stipulations put in their contract, which you think after the whole Hollywood thing that they would learn to read a damn contract.
Or at least get a lawyer to look at it before they
even so green behind the ears. Like you'd think they've learned something by now.
Yeah.
And you think with somebody being the experience that they have running Broadway plays, that they would
between Oliver's work being a producer and Charles's work as an actor, that they would at least have some idea of what makes a good contract.
Yeah.
But no, they just come in and just sign everything away.
They're basically like Colonel Potter, and Radar comes in. Oh, you need to sign this. Okay, sure. What am I signing? Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah, they didn't seem like, it seemed like very out of character, or rather, if you're doing character development, you'd think that by now they wouldn't be as naive as they were in the earlier seasons. At this point, they'd be a bit more experienced and worldly, especially, as you guys mentioned, when it came to the background of some of our characters, like Oliver, who knows what a contract looks like, and you have to read the fine print, and you've been through so many things. That was, I said, some things that really kind of annoyed me. It's like, I'm granted, okay, this is fiction, it's not real life, of course, but at the same time, like, make these characters make sense at least, because are you almost making us forget what happened in previous seasons? Like, oh no, these rebooted characters, they have no experience. Fine. That was what kind of annoyed me, was just the consistency coming from one season to this one. And I don't know, and now I guess I'll throw a question at the two of you. Personally, as I said, the main mystery, as much as we love Lester, of course, I found it so uninteresting. And then when it came to the resolution, it just seemed so disjointed and didn't really, kind of predictable. There was no like, wow, this is such a shock. I never saw that coming. Here, as we said at the top of this review, the cliffhanger was much more compelling than how our core mystery was solved. And it took forever to get there. The whole finger thing took forever. So I'm curious about you guys. Were you happy with our core mystery and how it unfolded?
I mean, I wanted justice for Lester. You know,
I did too.
it's a shame for somebody who was such a, you know, like I said, such a pillar of what makes the Arconia, and why so many people want to live there. Yeah, people want to live in buildings that have doormen. You know, people, a person that, you know, knows you when you're coming and going, and, you know, you can trust to, like, you know, deliver your mail and your packages and walk your dog and, you know, things like that. Um, you know, and somebody who we find out has been married to the love of his life for so long, and they had all these dreams about what they would do in retirement. They wanted to retire and buy a place in the Arconia. So it doesn't seem like they had kids. So, you know, now that his wife is a widow, you know, she doesn't have any family. Um, so it's like, yeah, I want justice for Lester, but the whole mob thing, I think, was probably more interesting, especially with the billionaire angle put to it, because right now it's very topical.
Yeah. That was spot on. That was just
It's
like
very topical to have, you know, these people with just so much money that they don't know what to do with it. And so they just come up with just reasons to spend it and try to influence the rest of the world. It's like, look at me, I've got all this money. That must mean I know what I'm doing. When really, like, they're just as, they get bored just like the rest of us. You know, it's like, oh, look, they're running off to the country estate. They're probably gonna do some plotting. It's like, no, they're gonna play Operation.
Right.
Because that's a bigger thrill for them than the fact that they are sitting on billions of dollars. You know, that they have more money than the gross domestic product of some small countries. You know, and you know, the fact that the fact that eventually it turns out that it was, you know, Lester's death was really an accident. You know, that it wasn't necessarily somebody snuck up on him and, you know, did him in. It was a struggle. He tripped, he fell, he hit his head, unfortunately.
Right.
You know, in a way that you know, caused him to die. Although it wasn't instantaneous, he lived long enough to blow his bird whistle, which was good.
Right.
But yeah, the fact that again, unfortunately, the capitalism and politics, those go hand in hand. So having it be a corrupt politician, which I think, you know, is hilarious when you think about it, or, you know, at the very least, it's one of those weird serendipitous things that the person that ultimately killed Lester is the guy who's the mayor of New York, and New York just elected a new mayor.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody that
Irony.
like New Yorkers are genuinely excited about to have as their mayor.
And speaking of Mayor Tillman, did you guys like the twist that he ended up being the third man in the Sophia Nikki love triangle, that he was her lover?
I was surprised. I'm just like, okay, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, but it didn't really turn into anything though.
That's
like,
exactly it. Nothing came of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
other than the fact that it pissed, I mean, because Nikki found out, it pissed Nikki off.
Right.
Obviously. You know, and caused him to act, you know, to react in anger, and that's ultimately, yeah. But the thing is, Nikki getting mad at the mayor for smooching on his wife is not why Nikki died. He died really kind of on accident, because Lester was just trying to stop him, and it was one of those struggle things, and somebody was going to get hurt when you struggle and there's a weapon involved.
Yep.
And so it's like, it's again both of these deaths were essentially accidents. The difference is Nikki was a bad guy. So like, yeah, his wife and his kids, it's unfortunate that they've lost, that she's lost her husband, the boys have lost their dad, but he wasn't a good person, unlike Lester, who for the most part was genuinely a good person and did not deserve what he got.
Not at all. But didn't that also seem a little bit convenient that both murders or apparent murders were accidents and there wasn't actually somebody? I mean, it's not that we need somebody to blame necessarily, but what I'm saying is it just was like, it seemed a bit of lazy writing to me that these just, and it's like, okay, in the end, they're just going to be accidents. And it just happenstance. That's what kind of upset me, I suppose, because it seemed too clean cut for this show.
Yeah. I mean, considering like some of our others,
well, and I wonder too if there wasn't
but I kind of wonder, not necessarily wonder, my kind of thing with like established like series like this where there's stakes involved, whether it's a murder mystery, whether it's like a cop show or like a medical drama, is after a while you want the people to keep coming back, so then you have to keep like trying to up yourself. Exactly. And eventually it becomes like it becomes ridiculous. Like the types of like storylines you try to go with to be so like, oh my god, people are talking about the water cooler the next day going, oh my god, you have to watch this. You will not believe what they just did on insert show here.
Right.
So, but with this, it's, not every murder has to be like, some crazy person like, sneaking through the night looking for somebody to kill or something, that sort of thing. But at the same time, like, they found some interesting ways to keep us like on our toes and keep things interesting without having to be like so ridiculous and like this doesn't work for the world that we have built.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I mean,
like the thing with like Teddy, like his son like stealing like the fillings and stuff out of bodies that have been cremated, like that was like crazy, but at the same time it's like, no, actually there probably are people that do that.
Oh right, yeah,
people do way worse.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like, but when you have a storyline, a plot device like this, like the mob or the new mob, and it's like, okay, technically the billionaires didn't actually kill anybody, but they were witnesses at the very least, if not accessories to it. And oh, by the way, it's the corrupt politician that didn't. Like, that's kind of on the nose.
Very much so. And also, I have to ask, what did you guys make of Christoph Waltz's creepy kid? For the longest time, I thought he was an android.
Yeah, me too.
He was very creepy.
Yeah.
Like,
I was kind of
it took me a little bit to like figure out like what was going on there. I was like, is he like actually his son? Did he clone himself so that he could live longer? Like in this clone or something? Like I was trying to figure out like what is going on here.
And it was a shame that
where's your mother?
Yeah, and that was a shame that didn't go anywhere either.
Yeah. So it was like, yeah, it's like they gave us little, some bits that were potentially some good ideas, but they just didn't quite,
Oh, and I'm wondering too, maybe cast
like,
availability, and that might have had to gum up had them change some of the scripts. Because I mean,
I mean, yeah, I mean, you got some big stars there with like Waltz and and
And
Zellweger and
Cinda,
stuff.
she doesn't show up till the last very end of the last episode. It's just like, whoa, because normally by this time we would have some mention or a brief shot of her, earlier in a season if she was
Yeah.
involved.
Well,
So
they,
it's like, yeah,
explained that away that that she's like, oh, she's doing a podcast overseas.
right.
Cinda's the head of her own like podcasting kind of conglomerate, so you just assume that she's really busy, and up until the point that they sign, they're just an independent podcast.
Right.
So it's like, I mean, yeah, she knows who they are, but she's got bigger fish to fry.
True.
If they're not going to be doing anything that's going to benefit her, then I don't think she really cares.
True.
So I
But it was
really
just,
didn't
her
necessarily have a problem with
relationship
that.
With Mabel. It would just, it kind of felt like, oh, maybe Cinda would be trying a little bit harder to like, hey, come on, change your mind. Really like you guys to be, but then maybe
Yeah.
that Cinda decided to give up and go after bigger fish.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
because it's like they've got like. Oh, go ahead.
No, I think in short, what it seems like we're all almost saying is there were so many great ideas, but they were kind of all over the place. They almost didn't know what they wanted to do when it came to
which
did we follow this line, did we follow that? And it almost like seemed like, to use the true and tired phrase, it seemed like they were throwing tons of stuff at the wall in the writers' room. It's like, we'll see what sticks eventually. So almost like they were sharing all the ideas that came from the writers' room, and then like, we'll put in a little bit of everything, but ultimately we'll go with this.
Yeah. And I mean, with the like I said, with some of the our guest stars and stuff, yes, they're available to maybe played a little bit into it. But as far as like our main three, like Steve Martin said, this is the last like series he's planning on doing. Like he really wants to kind of retire once the show reaches its conclusion, whenever that is. Um, and he and Martin Short have been touring together for the last couple of years, doing their kind of two-man show, which I'm sure they do, when they're not in the off season, in between seasons. Selena, she's not. I mean, she came back to do the Wizards of Waverly Place movie, TV movie that just released or is getting ready to release. I'm not entirely sure. But she makes a comeback and some Wizard of Waverly Place thing. I'm sure Shalane will be like, this is what you're trying to talk about. She'll straighten me out. But she's running like her own like social media beauty brand empire, is kind of her like other main gig besides doing this. I mean, she
new album, which I'm sure she'll be doing a tour for as well.
Possibly. She just got married.
Well.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, she's going to need to be available to be one of Taylor Swift's bridesmaids whenever that is. She's going to be in the wedding party. Taylor was at her wedding. She sure as hell is going to be at Taylor's. So, but yeah, I was like, I think they maybe just like had maybe like a wish list of like big names that they thought that they could make for great characters, and they got what they asked for, and then they were like, oh, I wasn't actually prepared for this to actually happen. I could kind of see, if it was me, I would feel that way. Like, let's ask some Academy Award winners. Christoph Waltz, he's a consummate actor. He's a Bond villain. Let's ask him. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And you're like, wait, what? He's going to be on our little streaming show? So, so I don't know. And the fact that with this cliffhanger, which I'd heard the rumors that they were gonna. Well, actually, it's not a rumor. Actually, I think they've actually confirmed that at least part of next season will be taking place in London. I'm assuming that they're going to film on location in at least somewhat. That they are probably going to go to London to film in London. That's probably easier than trying to recreate London. So, but so that's gonna change their logistics as far as how they film. Um, Having to go on location instead of keeping it just in New York and at the sound stage where all the Arconia apartment sets live. Um, but although at the same time, I'm kind of excited that they're gonna. I mean, we've done the Los Angeles thing, both bouncing between both coasts, but I think it'd be kind of fun to see them go, outside of the United States and how this figures into what happened to Cinda there at the end. Let's talk about that cliffhanger. Okay, first of all, now before we talk about the cliffhanger, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Lester the robot.
Good point. Yes.
Do you guys know who voiced Lester the robot?
No, who did?
Paul Rudd.
Oh my goodness.
Of course.
That makes the third season in a row that a character being played by Paul Rudd has been killed. No. But yeah, he's uncredited, but yeah, it's been confirmed that Paul Rudd is the voice of Lester the robot. I have to say though, the murder of the first Lester was so funny. Like when Mabel is sitting there
from the window.
I think it was she's sitting there talking to like Thea or somebody, and she's like, the robot, all of the stuff has been uploaded to his database, and then you just see him go by the window and he's like, ah, and she's like, that was a robot, wasn't it?
And also great commentary on, robots and artificial intelligence replacing people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, great, he can he's more than happy to deliver packages anytime, any day. He's not going to get tired, but he can't do stairs. Yeah. He's like a Dalek. He can't do stairs. So yeah, it's a good little, again, commentary on the idea of what jobs out there can and should be automated by machines versus still done by a human. I mean, I even somewhat mentioned, something similar when I got caught up at work last week, and therefore we weren't able to record, because yes, most of what I do is on a computer in a software system that takes care of most everything, a good chunk of it. But at the end of the day, I still have to do the data entry, or at least some of the data entry, and there's still stuff that needs done by a human, because there are certain things that have to be thought about and use logic to figure out how to do things the best way that AI is not necessarily going to take into account. The computer only knows what information we've given it. If there's something different, it doesn't know that. You have to have a human that knows that and be like, well, the computer says this, but I know for sure that student is actually not in that classroom because the teacher sent out an email saying we were actually going to be in this classroom during this class period, but the computer's not going to know, the software is not going to know that. So yeah, you still need, at this point, you still need a human being for a lot of things. And like I said, a lot of people who live in buildings with doormen or work in buildings where there is a human being that greets you when you come in and when you leave. When the building I worked in at IU before the pandemic, we had a receptionist who sat there on the main floor. So when you came in, and she collected some mail, some packages, she put them in people's mailboxes in the mailroom. She gives people guest passes to be able to get in and out. She can give people directions for things. So there's something to be said about having that human to human interaction that you're just not going to get with a computer, with a machine. That being said, Lester the robot had some very funny scenes. So, and I did like the episode that was pretty much from his perspective. So. And it shows how much he's ignored. That people don't take him into consideration. Which you want Skynet, that's how you get Skynet.
Exactly. I mean, I think we can probably all agree that we, granted hindsight being 2020, we probably figured out that Lester the robot would play a pretty big role in the ultimate resolution of our story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, I appreciate the commentary, and wow, Paul Rudd, of course, would voice this character, and
of course,
it was a fun little audition. I mean, but yeah, no, it was cool, and yes, and I do agree the death of the first Lester the robot was rather hilarious. I mean, because speaking of things, so not seeing that coming, just the way it was filmed was just hilarious because it was
oh my god, yes,
it was brilliant,
so funny,
yeah,
so funny. Oh, okay. Now we can talk about the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So, and the way that was shot, because it's like you have it's like, oh, talk about Cinda and like, oh, she's been working in London working on podcasts, and then you see and hear Cinda's voiceover talking about the girl with the curls, and at the same time you see this. Just from the backside, this woman with this curly red hair that's obviously bleeding, is injured of some sort, and she's stumbling along the sidewalk, and people are like ignoring her as people are wont to do. And I don't know about you guys, but I just assumed that we were seeing the girl that Cinda was talking about.
Yes, that's what I thought.
Like we were getting like a flash of what at least part of what happened to her. Up and or like, this is, she was stumbling along the street and people nobody was stopping her. Eventually she collapsed, and that's how they found her body and stuff. But then the camera switches and you realize that she's right outside the Arconia, and I'm like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were in London.
Yeah.
And then we find out it's Cinda. On top of everything else, and it's like, yeah. And then there's that whole like splitting hairs, like, is she dead actually in the building or is she outside the building?
And then the hand.
And then she managed to get one hand up on the grate on the gate. So it's like, look, technically she has crossed the threshold, so she's on Arconia's ground.
And over dramatized Dusty. Wait a minute, not quite. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So, do you think she's actually dead?
I think so.
Or do you think maybe she'll be like in a coma or something?
There could be that. I mean, this isn't
because I don't think we haven't had that yet. Everybody's just been dead.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, everybody has been dead. It would be kind of interesting to have an attempted murder victim who, at least at the start of the mystery, is actually not dead.
Mm-hmm.
It could potentially wake up and actually give them answers, or die, and then never give them any answers. So it leaves it kind of in limbo.
Oh. Yeah, we could have that one moment where maybe, the coma idea sounds kind of cool, and this is maybe that Cinda suddenly wakes up, says, "Oh my, it was," and then she dies. Before we even get the typical murder mystery fashion. When you're about to give the big name away, you die.
You're like, it was, and then you could just see the three of them arguing over what she was saying.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Charles is gonna be like, no, it sounded like an H. And Oliver would be like, no, it sounded more like a G. And they'll be like, no, it sounded more like an F. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder now that if now our victim, next, mystery involves Cinder, which was the character who brought our trio together. And I wish this show long life, but I wonder where this next season might be the last one, seeing as the person involved is the one who brought our three together.
Ooh, that's a good point.
That it is possible.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 seasons is a pretty good run.
Oh,
all
yeah.
things considering. So, and surely, I mean, Oliver does have a bit of a career outside of doing the podcast. I mean, he's in between shows right now, but he also has, Loretta, and wants to, if anything, he may just want to be like, a kept husband for a while and support her in her career. And, that way he could maybe chill out a little, if possible, if that's something Oliver could do. Charles, I'm presuming he's just living off the Brazos residuals.
Probably.
And then, Mabel, she's still trying to figure things out. That's the thing. And I think you're right, Nick. We do not need to keep trying to pair Mabel off just because she's, a 30-something attractive single young woman who spends much of her time with a couple of septenarians. Is doesn't mean that she has to have a love interest. I mean, she could date if she wants to, just or just hang out with people closer to her own age if she wants. Her relationship with Thea seems to have found new footing after they're falling out and then they're coming back together. So she does have at least one person that's her age bracket that she could hang out with if she wanted to. But it's unfortunately it's a tale as old as time when it comes to attractive young women in movies and television shows. They can't just keep them single and expect them to be happy. Writers and whatever, they just cannot wrap their heads around the fact that a young woman does not have to be married. She doesn't shouldn't have to have a steady relationship, let alone marriage. She doesn't have to have kids. She can be single and happy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Mary Tyler Moore show worked for a reason. It can work. That's the one thing, is that I just don't want them to be like, oh, we can't figure out what to do with Mabel, so we're just going to go the very traditional tropey route. And I do not want to see that, because that would piss me off. Because they've done that to too many characters in some of my favorite shows, where they're like that. I've heard some writers actually literally say, well, we just couldn't think of anything else, so we made her pregnant. It's like, that's so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why can't Mabel, I mean, if Cinda is actually dead or is dead by the end of the next season, why can't Mabel be the next Cinda?
Right, exactly.
You could go so many different routes, so many different ways. It's just like, it's so
especially
facile.
now.
Yeah.
Women have so many options now. So we don't have listening writers, although you're probably well into writing your scripts, but just saying, don't trope out Mabel. We don't need it. You were at least doing something, at least with giving her a love interest. At least they made things slightly more interesting when they gave her a girlfriend instead of a boyfriend, and exploring, Mabel's sexuality in that manner. So, but then they had to make her girlfriend one of the suspects, which, again, lesbians and queer people are not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They're more likely to be victims.
Uh-huh.
They're perpetrators. Well, Any final thoughts?
I enjoyed the ride of the season that it was, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring us in season 6. And I'm wondering if, with them being over in London, hopefully we'll get a shot of a certain police box, or maybe hopefully a Doctor Who reference of some sort.
Oh yes,
That would be kind of fun, yes.
That would be fun. And just think of the talent that they would have at their disposal by being
I know.
in London.
Mm-hmm. Or the three, Charles, Oliver, and Mabel, doing the iconic walk across Abbey Road.
Oh my God, yes. Yes. There may be a corgi in there too somewhere.
There
better be a corgi sighting at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe David Tennant appearing for random reasons because he has to be in everything.
Yes,
yep, exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're still waiting for that last season of Good Omens to
exactly. Yeah.
Might as well, what else is David doing? So, hey, someone call Michael Sheen, see what he's doing too.
Yeah, exactly. You were reading my mind, Rachel.
Oh. Hey, even Michael Caine has come out of retirement, so I'm just saying, there's ample opportunity there for, there's going to also be at least one Sherlock Holmes reference as well too, solving murders in England, in London. Yeah, it's just right for Sherlock Holmes there. References. Yes.
Agatha Christie.
You could see you could see Oliver putting on a fake mustache that looked like Perot.
Yeah,
but
that would be cool.
Actually, considering
that would
Steve
be cool.
Yeah. But Steve Martin has done the pink has played the
that's
Clouseau
right. Yep.
with the mustache. So yeah, it could be fun too. Although Clouseau is French, but still, same idea. Just on the continent instead. Well, if any of our listeners have anything they want to say about this latest season of Only Murders in the Building, you can send us feedback via email, fivishfangirls@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, which is the fivishfangirls.com, where you can find links to all of our various social media accounts, both related and our personal ones as well, along with information on how to become a supporter on Patreon, how to get merch on Redbubble, and all the fun things. So I will be at GalaxyCon in Columbus, not this weekend as we're recording this, but next weekend, first weekend of December. So how much I'm going to be able to post, I do not know, because once you step into the vendor hall, it becomes a Faraday cage as far as cell phone reception is concerned. So you may just have to wait until like step outside. Like maybe literally outside to post anything. So if you're gonna be like, I know Rachel's at GalaxyCon, she's not posting anything, it's probably because I'm inside and there is just no reception and they do not offer Wi-Fi. So it sucks. That's like my one complaint about this convention is the inability to use social media, which, whatever, but also they put everything online as far as like schedule updates. How am I supposed to check those if I can't access anything on my phone? The math ain't mathin'. So, but anyway, I'll tell you all about it after the fact. But it should be a good time, as it always is, and I'll try not to spend all of my money. I'm still trying to recover from Disneyland, so but the guest list is so good this year. So I do have a photo op purchase with Billy Piper though, so
nice.
Very nice.
Yep. I think the Duff Door will probably join us on that one.
Yes, as the Duff Door should.
As he should.
Yeah.
So follow us on all the social medias, just in case I manage to get a blip of cell phone signal so I can post something while at GalaxyCon. And of course the book club will have update once we hit December, which is wild to think about. Our last update for 2025. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So, Nick, thank you once again for joining us to talk about Only Murders in the Building, among other things. I'm glad that you started watching and you've enjoyed the show as much as we have.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yes.
I'm still trying to get Chauncey to watch it, but
I think Chauncey would love it.
I think he would too. I just gotta convince him to start it. So, but yeah, we'll I guess we'll just wait until we get season 6, presumably sometime next year. They don't make us wait too long.
No, the turnout is pretty
season.
quick.
Yeah, I will give them that. Compared to some other shows, we do not have to wait long in between seasons.
Yes.
So you get a check mark in that column there, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nick, shameless self-promotion.
Well, I guess, as you kindly mentioned, Rachel, of course, well, you and I and Zan Sprouse can, of course, be found on Gold Standard, the Oscars podcast, which I'm sure folks have heard about tons of times here. As you know, we have reviewed all the Best Picture winning movies in chronological order. And now, as we wait for the 98th Best Picture to reveal itself, we're reviewing movies that we have picked. And we also have returning and new guest co-hosts bringing their favorite films to the Gold Standard Theatre. Recently, as Rachel mentioned, Frank Mendoza joined us to review. Exactly. Coming up next, Greg Vorob will be returning, and the movie that he has selected is Ghostbusters. So that's what we're doing for that, the OG Ghostbusters film. Also, myself and Keith Bliss can also be found on Happiness and Darkness, a superhero movie podcast, where we discuss any and every superhero movie under the sun. We recently did a little bit of a spy thriller tangent where we reviewed the Man from U.N.C.L.E. film. Speaking of the Avengers film, of course, the Man from U.N.C.L.E. being, the way I see it, the American answer to the Avengers. And so we did the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Coming up next this week, actually, as this recording, we'll be reviewing Big Hero 6, which we have yet to talk about, and we finally get to talk about it this week. And last but certainly not least, myself and Charles Skaggs will be returning to the Fandom Zone podcast next year to review the first season of Wonder Man. And if you are into country music, you can find me in my day job hosting the radio show Whiskey and Cigarettes, where we play the very best and nothing but the best of country music for you guys, from Alabama to Bailey Zimmerman. For more information about that, you can visit our website, which is whiskeyandcigarettesshow.com. And once again, Rachel and Holly, thank you so much for letting me play in your sandbox today. I had a whale of a time, and it's always great hanging out with you both.
You're welcome anytime. Oh, all right. Well, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. My butt is not a printer. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, theFiveishFangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FiveishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.